folks, Chris Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com, the ChrisVossShow.com. Got a blog post we want to share with you. We've been reviewing the iPhone 5 against many of the other phones that we have with our other vendors, and we're doing lots of comparison videos. Be sure to subscribe to them on the ChrisVossShow.com website, and also subscribe to our videos on YouTube so you can see all the cool comparisons we're taking and doing with the launch of the new iPhone 5. We're very happy and pleased with what we've seen out of the iPhone 5 so far. So what we're going to be doing is doing a comparison here. We have two different phones. One is an AT&T Apple iPhone 5, and one is a T-Mobile HTC One S. And both are great phones. They both have a lot of power in both of them. They're both very fast in their respective areas. So what we're going to do is get into it. We're going to show you some benchmarking, some photos, and give you an overall comparison as to how the two compare. And you can sit at home and decide which one might be the best for you to take a purchase. Now, the AT&T phone is mine. We like the AT&T network. You can, of course, do voice and data while you're on a call, which is good. The T-Mobile, you can get through t-mobile.com. That's t-mobile.com. Thanks to T-Mobile for providing the phones for us to review. Let's take a look at the iPhone. Now, the iPhone is 4.87 inches by 2.31 by 0.30. It's a very thin phone. And it's 3.95 ounces. It's got a 4-inch screen with 640 times 1136 pixels and a 326 ppi. It's got capacitive multi-touch screen and will last about standby time 225 hours. On talk time on 3G, 8 hours. Capacity is a 1440 milliamp battery. Has an Apple A6 chip in it, which is really deceiving when you look at gigahertz. It has a V7 type ARM in it, and the architecture for the ARM enables it, especially the way that Apple really rewrote the rules and innovated it, make it so that it's an ultra-fast processor that can go really well. The gigahertz don't really imply, or gigahertz, megahertz. It shows that it has a dual-core 1 gigahertz processor in it. It shows 1 gigahertz memory of RAM, 16 gigabytes of built-in storage. You can also, of course, get 16 and 64 with the iPhone 5. Now, with the iPhone 5, it has an 8 megapixel back camera. It's 1080p HD, 30 frames per second. Front-facing 1.2 camera. And so you can see that there. We'll go ahead and flip this over so you can see these two different things. In fact, we'll go and pull this baby off. I forgot we put that on there. You can see they both have beautiful backs. Let's talk about the HTC One S. The HTC One S is 130.9 millimeters by 7.8 millimeters by 65. So it's also a very thin device. Its weight is 119.5 grams. It has a Super AMOLED capacitive touchscreen, 60 million colors, 540 times 960 pixels at 4.3 inches, and 256 ppi pixel density. HTC Sense UI that's inside of it. This particular model is running off of Android's 4.04 software, so very cool that way. And it has a 16 gigabyte internal memory, 1 gigabyte of RAM, and 8 megapixel back camera. It has a VGA front-facing camera. On the back camera on the 8 megapixel, it will do 1080p at 30 frames per second, and it usually comes out of the box with ice cream sandwich on it, 4.0. Like I say, we've since upgraded it. Dual-core 1.5 gigahertz chip that's inside of it, and it has a 1650 milliamp battery, and that's pretty much it. So that gives us the rundown between the two devices so you can kind of see how they both work, etc., etc. Here you can see the back of the devices. We're going to go ahead and pull my sticker off the back so that you can see what the, wow, that's not coming off very easy. Well, there you go. You can see what the devices look like without their respective stuff on the back. Normally my sticker doesn't stick to anything very well, but I guess we'll just have to punt at this point, won't we? Great advertisement for the Chris Voss Show there, huh? You can see here that on the back of the devices they have a camera up here. Looks like there's a microphone hole that Apple's put into the phones. possibly for when you're recording stuff, a better way to retrieve that audio. You can see there's also a flash lens there. You've got the Apple logo. Now what they've done is they made these two top pieces glass, and they put a beautiful metal piece here in the back. I really enjoy this. It's easier to hold and sticks to your fingers better than that glass that was in the 4 and the 4S. If you're going to drop it, you don't have to worry about cracking the glass as much. I mean, I'm sure if you dropped it hard enough, you could crack the metal, I suppose. But I love the extra protection of the metal as opposed to the glass. Plus, it makes the weight of the phone a whole ounce less, and the difference is palpable. That's what we have on the back of the device. On the HTC One S, you can see that we have a big camera lens. We have the flash area. We also have the speakers down here. We have Beats audio that's on this phone. I do really like the HTC Beats audio product because what it does is it makes it so that the sound is quite a bit more enhanced once you activate it, and of course you can turn it off if you like. Now the back does not remove in any way, shape or form on the Apple iPhone 5. On the HTC One S, you can pull the top off to be able to insert the SIM card, so you can see that there and how that works. Let's flip these babies over so we can see these a little bit better. There we go. And you can see the HTC One has a pull ring to pull out of standby. The Apple, of course, has a left to right swipe. Now, on devices, we have a sensor on the iPhone, which I believe is a face sensor. It determines if your face is close to the device or something is close to the device, and it turns off the bright screen so that you're not blasting your face with light. There's the speaker, which works for the making calls. The front-facing camera has been moved up above that. There's also just the plain old home button, which is pretty much on every Apple iOS device. So that will get you to your home. On the T-Mobile HTC One S, you can see we have a big speaker across the top here for calls. We also have a front-facing camera here. We have a back button, a home button, and a recent apps button. So this is very cool. In fact, I think I may have misquoted. Let's go ahead and double check this. We have just about, I think, every HTC One product out there, with the V, the S, the X, and I think some other ones. Let's make sure that I'm quoting the right software information. This might be 4.03. Yes, so this is running on 4.03 Android version. We have a number of other ones that are running on the 4.04. So you can see here it's also running on HTC Sense 4.0. So hopefully they'll get Jelly Bean update. We haven't heard anything as of this recording to that point yet, but hopefully that day will come. So let's take a look at the sides of the device and the tops and bottoms. Okay, so here you can see the bottoms of the devices. They're pretty comparable in size. The One S is a little bit thicker than the iPhone. You can see here that on the iPhone we have the earphone plug now on the bottom. We have a nice grill with a beautifully chromed area around the plug insert. Now has a smaller plug that goes with it. I actually really do like the smaller plug, and I actually like it better than the micro USB plugs you find on Androids. The beautiful part about the system is it's small, it's convenient, it's easy to plug in, and you can plug it in one way or the other. It doesn't have to be in a certain way to be able to go, and I love that. On the T-Mobile HTC One S, we just have a simple microphone hole in the bottom. On the iPhone, on the top, we just have a power button. On the HTC One S, we have the power button, we have a microphone hole, and the earphone hole. Okay, so down the right side of the iPhone 4S, we have a small area hole for the nano SIM card. It now uses a really super small SIM card. And we also have the volume rocker on the right-hand side. Beautiful device for the One S. It kind of works well with the metal finish that's there. On the iPhone 4S, we have the mute switch up here at the top on the left-hand side. We have a volume buttons up and down. And then, of course, on the T-Mobile on the left, we have the micro USB charger port and sync port. Okay, so we've run benchmarks on both the phones, and let's talk about what they are and what they do. You can see here that these are the benchmarks. Now, we're not really comparing the service providers, of course, here, but you can get a good idea as to how their processors perform, etc., etc. And you can do your comparisons at home. Here's on the AT&T 4G network what sort of speeds we got with the iPhone 5. We did notice that with the super fast processor, it definitely is has the ability to download data quite fast and quite a bit. You can see here the T-Mobile speed test data that we took and did. Now, keep in mind we do have the Wi-Fi's active. These were taken at a different time, and we're using the results log. So you can see the results there. Let's take a Geekbench test, and we're going to see how the two of these both perform in a Geekbench 2. Now, the great thing about some of these apps is you can take and perform them at home with your own sort of you can download the apps and take and compare them with your phones that you might have at your home and decide which ones might work best for you. So that's the great thing about these apps. You can play along at home and see how your phone does compared to the phones we're doing here, and help you make a better buying decision in the future, of course. So Geekbench 2 is one way that we get a great idea as to how well these devices perform. Now, you can see here that the iPhone comes in at 1648, whereas the One S comes in at 1549. 1549 is a strong number for a phone. It's a very good, very high number that you can take and get on this. And so by no means is that a weak number in any way, shape, or form. But you can see here that it definitely beat the iPhone 5 beat the One S across the board. There's a small thing where on floating point it beat it by a little bit, but the rest of the time the iPhone just pretty much trounced it. We'll go down page down through these scores so you can see them at home. Now, like I say, it has to do with the ARM v7 that's in here and the architecture they build in. You can see here they're reporting a much different processor than, and seemingly much less processor than what you can find in the One. But the gearing inside is what makes all the difference. So let's go ahead and page down somewhere you can see these results. And of course, if you need to check them against what you got, there's always the pause button. Okay, so there you go. You can see the results we got with both these devices in these categories. Let's take a look at some other benchmarking tools that we can take and utilize. What we're going to do is we're going to go with, this is going to be the Passmark performance test, and you can find these apps, especially on your Android, for free. I think they end up costing a little bit of money on your, if you have an iPhone, but many of the ones that we use on the Android are free, which makes it very, very nice for people at home to read along. So we'll go ahead and let this run and come back in a second, see what the results were. Okay, so here are the results that we're seeing with Passmark. The system came in at 3962 on the iPhone 5 and 2089 on the One S. So let's take a look at the rest of the stats here. We're going to look at the CPU test. Now you can see here the CPU is just amazingly fast on the iPhone 5, and the benchmarks they're showing up, 25,000 compared to 5408. It's just crazy speed. You can see here more of the results comparatively, 15,000, 3551, 2944 against 2438. 2D came in, and actually at this point the T-Mobile actually did better, and you can also see the 3D graphics where the iPhone still reigned. So those are those benchmarks. Okay, so here we can see the GL Benchmark 2.1.5 Egypt results, and we're looking pretty much just at the top frames here for this. It looks like we scored a 6739 frames with 60 frames per second speed with the iPhone 5. With the One S, 6449 frames at 57 frames per second. Okay, so now what we've done is we run a Sun Spider JavaScript thing. This tests the browser and the speed of the unit to take and be able to browse the internet. We did try to do a browser mark test, but it seems the site's been down ever since the launch of the iPhone 5. So I guess too many people were trying to download that. So if you do get a chance, take your phones to browser mark and on the internet and see how they do. Unfortunately, we're not able to bring you that test at this time. Their websites are inoperable at this point. So here's the test from SunSpider. Now, in this case, what we're looking for is the lower number is the better number. So you can see here that the SunSpider test on the iPhone 5 is 943.8 milliseconds, and the time on the One S is 1709.6 ms. So definitely a whole lot faster on the iPhone 5. It's serving up your web browser pages to you. Okay, folks, so we ran a speed test using the hotspot on the AT&T phone. So basically a hotspot server on the iPhone to go to the iPad 3 that we have that will give it a good speed test hotspot. You can see the numbers here. The numbers we did see tend to vary a bit. We saw 5s during the day. It's now the evening, so we're seeing stuff in the 9s and 10s. So your mileage, of course, will vary depending upon your location. So this is the hotspot test, and you can see the speed test of results we got from the iPhone 5. Okay, so here you can see the speed test results of the other phone against the iPhone 5. It performed extremely well. The service works extremely well too. Got great numbers here you can see, and this is of course with it acting as a hotspot to serve to our iPad 3. So great networking speeds here. Okay, so now with the iOS devices, you have pretty much a swipe left to right, right to left sort of situation. It is finite. You also have search that you can take and go to. The home button controls much of it and getting you back to where you need to go. And that's pretty much it. There's not much customization you can do with the iPhone 5 or iOS products for that matter. So with the Android system on the T-Mobile One S, a lot of people like the customizable widgets and apps and different things that you can do with the device. You can of course create folders on the iPhone, but with the Android product, with the One S, you can create different widgets. Like for instance, this one here, you can see the Google widget that we have. There's some different widgets we can apply here, and here you can see some quick push button areas that we can take and do. And a lot of times what this will do is you can see you can have up to 7 different screens set up here. When you go in, there are different ways that you can control, make, and create different widgets, etc., etc. You have your recent apps, of course, here to take and go through. It's a great customizable situation where you can take and really enjoy different things with your device and be able to add different widgets, do all sorts of different things with it. You can see here the widgets that we can take and add, calculators, clocks, all sorts of different customizable widgets that we can take and add to this. Some of them are app related, like you saw Flipboard there, Spotify might be in here, a few other different things. So a lot of people like those features of the Android product, and they are kind of nice for a change of pace. It's really up to you what you prefer. So both have very good fast processors and also great operating systems in my mind. It really just depends on which features you want or don't want. They both have drag down notification or swipe notifications where you can get into settings on the Android. You can see recent updates of people communicating with you of different things that you may have chosen to allow to come to you in your apps. They're starting to come out with a few different widgets, like they have a stock widget on the Apple product. They also have, you can see here, they have a tap to tweet, tap to post. They have a weather widget. So they're starting to do a little bit more widgets. And of course you can do all sorts of different things with the T-Mobile One S. They both are wonderful OS products in my mind. Okay, so now what we're doing is we're doing a in-call Skype call so that you can see how the front-facing camera performs and puts the image onto another computer. We're using a iPad 3 for this, of course. This is on a Wi-Fi, and so this is a localized Wi-Fi between the two different computers, just to give you an idea as to how well the front-facing camera performs if you're using FaceTime, Skype, or I shouldn't say FaceTime, should I? That's an iPhone thing. But if you're using Skype or Tango or other things, you can see how that's going to come out the other side. Now let's try using the network of T-Mobile in this case. Okay, so now we can see here with front-facing camera, of course, the video that we're getting. This is over the T-Mobile 4G network. So you can see here, not much difference really when it comes to localized internet service and or it comes between the 4G network. So both perform very well, and you can see the phone does a great job of processing data and processing video images. Awesome. All right, so here you can see us. We're doing a Skype call between the iPhone 5 and Skype. This is across a localized network. You can see the results we're getting here. Pretty good front-facing camera. Great results so far. Not perfect, of course. The front-facing camera is only like 1.2. So there you go. But you can see how well it performs on a localized Wi-Fi and a Skype video call. Okay, so now what you're seeing is here we're doing a video call using Skype, the front-facing camera, and of course we're doing this on the AT&T network as opposed to using localized Wi-Fi. So it still comes out really good on the quality of the front-facing camera, and yeah, rocks it. Okay, so let's start the camera. The camera has a lot of cool features, but it is very simple if you're used to an Android phone. Now, the shutter speed we notice is much faster, and of course loading everything is much faster. If you've got to take a quick photo, you're going to get to it a lot faster with the iPhone 5. Now, very simple format that they have with the iPhone 5, or most of the iPhones, if you're familiar with them. You have the grid, the HDR. Now with iOS 6 on the 4S and 5, you now have a panorama version. We've used it a little bit, but I think there's still some apps that more people feel comfortable with in how they operate and how they work. There is the front and back, of course, changer. There's, of course, the switch between the photograph and the video. There's also the camera shutter button, if you will, and there's an area to get into your pictures. Let's take a look at the pictures. Now, it does take much better colored, it's an edge of better pictures over the 4 and 4S. Most definitely. Is it distinctive enough to go out and spend $700? I don't know. You have to add up all the elements of the iPhone 5. But the pictures are definitely improved with the quality of what they put into the optics and improvement. So I really do like the pictures better on the iPhone 5. You can see here some great colors that we're looking at. Now, they've also made some improvements in how well it deals in low light. You can see here a video that we're doing in a low light scenario that comes out really well. And of course, that's one of the great things. This is actually a flash photo. You almost can't tell because it lights everything up. But this is a flash photo in a low light situation. Great colors, great detail. Here's a video. We usually use the floor of my video to see how it comes to the accuracy of color and the lines and everything. So you can see here it came out very well there. A little bit brighter than what the floor of my floor is, but you can see that it's much darker in this photo, but that's video for you. So it takes great, sharp, beautiful pictures, just amazing stuff. With the panorama version, of course, you have the edit ability to go up and edit. You can take out red eyes, you can take and crop, you can take and enhance the picture with colors, and you can also change and edit the photo to rotate it. In going into the panorama area, you basically click on it, and it gives you a thing where you basically move the iPhone continuously as you're going around and take photos, and it keeps track of where you're at. It's an okay panoramic app. I don't think I'd spend an extra $700 on this phone for it. Okay, so now let's take a look at the camera functions. We pretty much covered most of the phone. On the camera functions, you've got the ability, of course, to adjust your flash and your backlight or your light for when you're using camcorder. You, of course, have your settings gear here, and you can go through and adjust all this different elements that you have to control the front, the back, all that good stuff. You can also adjust your image resolution. This is pretty standard on most Android phones, so we'll skip through this. You can adjust your video quality, duration, image adjustments, ISO, white balance, continuous shooting. This is one great thing about the HT phones. They have a continuous shooting series where you can shoot up to 20 frames, choose the best one you want, or you can hold the button and do continuous shooting, which works pretty well and jams out a whole mess of photos. You can capture a lot more action shots that way. You've got auto upload, camera interface. We can do some adjustments here. Video options. You can also add video stabilization, record with audio, stereo recording, all that good stuff. So it gives you a lot of different options you can take and do. Face detection, widescreen, geotag, all the great things that you can normally do with Android customization. Down here you've got several different shooting types of scenes you can choose from: auto, slow motion video, HDR, panorama, portrait, group portrait, all this stuff, all the way down to low light, which is really useful if you're shooting in low light and you want to be able to adjust the camera. So you can really offset a lot of different viewing problems you might be having and still take great pictures. Touching this little opaque circle here, you get some effects, and you can see these effects in real time on the screen as you're taking the photo. So that makes it very easy to decide what you want to take and do with the effects. You can see here there's quite a few of them. Vintage cold, sepia, some negatives, some posterized, some aqua, where things can get really weird. So you have those options to be able to shoot those with the camera. Now you can see here you've got a shutter button for taking photos. You've got your camcorder button for taking video. You also have your zoom button where you can slide in and out here and be able to take your photos. Now let's look at some photos. Okay, so in the end, I love both phones. They're super fast. They both benchmarked well against many of the other products that we've taken and compared them to. I think the HTC One S is actually the best product out of all the HTC One products. I really like it. It's a beautiful phone. And we've compared it against the V, the X, and I think there's one other that we've compared it against. And it's just a high-performing, speedy little device. So be sure to check them out. You can go to amzn.to to see the iPhone 5, and you can go to t-mobile.com. That's t-mobile.com to see the HTC One S, and you can also take and tell them we sent you. And thanks to T-Mobile for providing the phones for us, or at least the One S phone, I should say. And be sure to subscribe to all of our videos. Be sure to subscribe to the Chris Voss Show. We're going to be doing a whole series of iPhone 5 videos and comparisons versus just like this one. So be sure to see that. Thanks for coming by the chrisvossshow.com. Chris Voss tested, Chris Voss approved.